We got some good news in the market this morning, and Shib and other altcoins are loving it. We actually got a little bit of a pop. Shib actually turned green for a few minutes, and then now it's back to red as we're seeing some profit taking around the space. But this news should not be slept on. Some of it's regarding inflation data, some of it's regarding China. And I do want to talk about all that, but I also want to talk about this major change that has happened for Shib in a very short period of time. And this is going to blow a lot of people's minds. So again, if you guys are new or haven't already, show your love for the channel down below. It's been growing like crazy, and it is all because of you guys. Now, what I will say is this. Shib still has a little bit of work to do. Right now, we are, in fact, above our 20-day moving average. That's a great sign. Like I've said many times before, Shib might putz around here for a short period of time, just kind of looking back here. You know, before we had our drop-off in the latter part of May on negative news, we did putz around it for about 6 days. When we had our break above here back in April, we putzed around it for about 5 days before we made an extended move. So that might be what we're looking at. We have had times where we've just rocketed through it as well. There's a lot of the unknown right now, but it's probably going to be all based on news and sentiment. And right now, retail sentiment's pretty dang good. Okay. We are not in the times that we were dealing with months ago, because what we had a huge prevalence of at that point was uncertainty. The market is getting some much needed clarity right now. First of all, let's start with this. This morning's CPI report, better than expectations. Once again, this has been a very recurring theme now. And what we saw was us come in at 0.1% increase in inflation over the month of May versus 0.2% expectations. So what that means is we were at 2.4% over the last 12 months versus 2.5%. So we're doing a very good job in managing inflation. That's a great sign. It's a great step forward. Core CPI, better than expectations as well. 2.8% versus 2.9% expected. All right. So this is exactly the report that we needed to see. And lo and behold, the market loved it. That's why Shib got a little pop. That's why we're seeing some pushes towards green today, and hopefully it continues. But what I will also say is some big news coming between the US and China. Apparently a trade deal has been struck up, and you guys can read through this if you want. But basically, we are charging a 55% tariff on China, and China is charging us a 10% tariff. It's a pretty big step forward. But what we're seeing right now is clarity. Clarity is what brings retail confidence. Retail confidence is what brings pumps. Pumps are what bring capital back into the crypto market, and capital moving back into the crypto market into assets is what brings adoption. All right, that's the path that you guys need to be aware of and need to understand. And we're starting to check some of those boxes. So now we're getting more and more good news. The uncertain times are kind of fading away. And what you're seeing is that people who have been accumulating and building their positions are starting to be rewarded just a little bit. The really exciting times come when adoption takes place. But I think the biggest thing that people need to be kind of aware of is how much has changed for Shiba Inu. You know, we talk about a lot of these things on a daily basis, or at least, you know, a couple times a week. And so I think it kind of falls on deaf ears, and people kind of get oblivious to it. You know, they just kind of let it just roll off, you know, in one ear and out the other. But Shib has once again hit a new all-time high in terms of holders. That's a very exciting sign. You know, as Shib has been down in terms of price, and we've dealt with obviously uncertainty and low prices and all this garbage for all of 2025, Shib has been growing on a fundamental level. But really where I think it becomes obvious is, first of all, since we were at those highs in 2024, all right, we have actually seen 100,000 holder increase in terms of Shiba Inu. It's a pretty big number. That's, you know, Shib adding about 8% in terms of holders, maybe not 7-8% over the course of this last year. That's a very good sign, especially when meme coins have been crap, retail sentiment has been garbage, and Shib keeps growing on a fundamental level. I'll even do one better for you. We talk about Shib exchange supply pretty often. You guys want to know how much exchange supply has changed since that high in March of 2024? We are now seeing 80 trillion Shib less available on exchanges. Yes, 80 trillion Shib less on exchanges than we saw at that high in March of 2024. And I want to ask people what kind of effect they think that's going to have. Right now, there is only 85.8 trillion Shib available on exchanges. Some people might say, oh my God, that's an insane number. It's really not. When you look at it in comparison to market cap, right? It's a really small amount of SHIB. You're talking about, gosh, what's the math? Only about 20, no, not 20. I won't even, no, I should have done the math ahead of time. It's a small percentage. And what this compares to is some of the largest assets in the space. So what we've now seen is people have been accumulating and hoarding, holders on the rise, people unwilling to dump their positions. The biggest thing that we've been lacking, like I've said many times for months and months and over the last year, is the biggest thing we've been lacking has been adoption. But now you have a huge group of people that have just decided to buy and hoard supply that have this long-term mindset because, again, well over 70% of holders for SHIB are long-term holders. I think, shoot, I'd have to scroll. Anyways, here, nope, that's not it. Here you go. By time held. So over 1.14 million addresses have been holding for 1 year or longer for SHIB. So you have these people that are unwilling to dump at these prices. Well, what happens when excitement gets high, when adoption happens, right? You can see prices move very aggressively. I had somebody ask me, what about these days of SHIB, moving 50% or, 80% or 30% or whatever. They can happen much more frequently, actually, because there is much less liquidity to the upside. There's very little standing in the way of once SHIB breaks out here and starts making these moves between SHIB around these ranges and a new all-time high, right? What happens then when a new all-time high hits? Mentality changes. Right now, I've seen so many people try to trash me and Shiba Inu and say that, oh, it's never going to hit an all-time high. It's not going to happen. But what will the mindset be when it does? Be a pretty distinct flip, right? So again, I'm not saying this is going to happen today. I'm not saying it's going to happen tomorrow, but we are starting to see things change on a fundamental level in the crypto market. And if people aren't realizing that time is running out, I don't know what to tell you. But I appreciate you guys as always. I hope you enjoyed the video. Hopefully we keep getting the good news. Love to see SHIB start making some extended moves from here. But have a great day. Show your love below. Catch you guys in the next one. Take care.